Good afternoon. Hey, Diana, can you hear me? Hopefully you can hear me. I'm not sure. You can unmute yourself and tell me, or you can chat in. Hopefully some other people will be joining us. Hey, Diana, as you've unmuted yourself. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mute on. Yep.
Okay, you can see the screen, right?
I sure can.
Perfect. Okay, so hopefully we'll get some people joining us as we do this, and I'm recording this so I can post it on my YouTube channel, help some other people who couldn't make it to the class. I had quite a few people that said they couldn't get off early enough. So you're the one who gets to ask questions since you're here. So feel free to, at any time, interrupt me and ask a question so I can answer those for you along the way. And I have a very specific kind of agenda that I want to teach you today. And we got some more new information on oils with horses today, which would be kind of a little plus thing, kind of interesting, right? So in case we haven't met, I'm Ginny. And you know, I love using essential oils with my pets, and I have a lot of pets. And I also, of course, use them on me. And I started with me and then worked on using them with my pets, which has saved me a fortune at the vet, I have to say. So I am really motivated to, you know, really help make a positive impact in the world by helping people create freedom with their own businesses. And that's part of what I do, is getting other people to also join doTERRA and do doTERRA as a business like I do. And then other people who just want to benefit from the products and getting them at wholesale prices. So, you know, a lot of people deserve greatness. And so it's my honor to help you realize your potential so you can achieve anything you desire. So use this opportunity to get comfortable with essential oils, because my hope and desire, if you haven't started yet, is that today will be the beginning of your journey with your pets. So we love our pets. And you know, these are members of a lot of our families, right? Who doesn't love, absolutely adore their pets? And I know that you're probably willing to do more for your furry family members than even yourself. We become the perpetual mom, right? With our kids, with our pets, there are other kids, right? And we never want to see our pets suffer. And many pet owners are really uncomfortable with the disguised ingredients that are in common pet products. So during this class, I'm going to expose you to a variety of protocols that we use with doTERRA's essential oils. And these oils will prove to be really helpful for your pets while putting your mind at ease with that everything is pure, it's natural, safe, and effective. But we want to teach you how to use them, because even natural things can be dangerous if applied incorrectly. So we want to make sure you know how to do this. So I don't know if this will work in this format. No, it won't. Okay, so there's a wonderful video that you can watch with Dr. Hill. And if you, I should post this on my YouTube separately because it won't let me do it within this PowerPoint presentation. But he is our Chief Medical Officer at doTERRA. And you know, one of the things that we want to answer always is, so why doTERRA? There's all these essential oils out there, right? And that's the question we get asked all the time, because there's so many brands out there, but not all oils are created equally. And so one of the reasons that I chose doTERRA is because of the co-impact sourcing. doTERRA sources its oils from all over the world, so each oil is derived from its indigenous environment. And when they're grown and harvested in the proper altitude, climate, the seasons, the soil, then you end up with a really superior product, right? And this is where doTERRA's commitment to purity begins. The second main reason is that the oils are CPTG, or certified pure therapeutic grade. And that's important because what that signifies is that each oil has no fillers, no synthetics, dyes, pesticides, or contaminants of any kind. So they're just pure, unadulterated oil. And doTERRA created this standard as a promise of purity, and each and every batch is third-party tested, so you can be confident in not just their purity, but their potency as well. And I found it interesting because the other day I learned that most essential oil companies get, which oil was it? Oh gosh, I forgot now. Is it tangerine? One of the fruit oils they get from, lemon. They get it from Florida. And doTERRA chose not to get it from Florida because they wanted the more potent oils that they could get out of the lemons in Italy. Even though it is more expensive to extract those oils from Italy, they chose that because they wanted that potency. And quite honestly, I mean, I have lemons. I could extract oil from those peels. Probably wouldn't be very good, but but it is an option, right? So we want the potency because we want to use less drops. And we feel like it's a lot safer to use less drops, and certainly easier, and it's less expensive to use less drops. So instead of using 20 drops of a cheap oil, I can use 2 drops of a doTERRA oil, which actually saves me a lot of money and certainly feels better using less product. Now, essential oils are effective. And one thing we always study when we look at essential oils is we study the science behind them. So, whoops, I'm sorry, I got way ahead of myself here. My cue cards just got all mixed up. Oh, there we go. Is that it? Science, yes. So they're very concentrated. One of the things that we know as members of doTERRA and those of us who study the science, we realize that they are 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. So we have to respect them, right? A little goes a long way. And always start with less and work your way up, especially when you're dealing with pets, because pets are very small sometimes. We have to be very aware of their body weight, and start out with the minimum dosage you possibly can. See how they're doing with that. Make sure they're not having any adverse responses before you go using more. So if anybody wants to know the science behind oils, you can actually go to doTERRA's science blog. They have a wonderful blog. It's doTERRAscienceblog.com. And they talk about the bioactivity of essential oils. And then if you go to source2u.com, they also talk about the quality and purity of the oils, and we can actually check each batch. So each batch has a number on the bottom of the bottle, and we can look that number up and find out the exact chemical makeup of that batch, because every batch is going to be slightly different because of the seasons, climate, etc. Right? So, oops, I love this picture here. This is a dog. He's dreaming of TerraShield. Why? Maybe he's got fleas, right? So since animals are near and dear to my heart, it's really been like a passion of mine to spread the knowledge of essential oils as it applies to us as pet owners. And these highly concentrated oils are naturally occurring volatile or aromatic compounds that are found in like the seeds, the bark, roots, the stems, flowers, other parts of the plants that yield amazing benefits when applied correctly to both humans and pets. And I know with this picture, I really like it because I just had an experience myself with TerraShield. And I buy TerraShield in the spray. I don't know where it is right now. But I buy, oh, here it is. I buy it in the spray where doTERRA's already got it in the spray bottle form. I find this easier to use. I'm not particularly fond of the smell. It doesn't seem to bother my dogs, except right when I spray it, they usually leave the room, but then they come back. I spray their bedding with it. And my dogs recently had a flea infestation. And I knew because a flea got on me. And I could tell it was a flea, and I said, oh shoot, they've got fleas. And I asked my husband, I said, do we have the prescription to get their flea medication? And he said, we're having trouble finding it because there's only one that I'll use because most of them are quite dangerous, and one of them is adequate. I'm not fond of it, but we couldn't get it. Apparently they've been out of it, probably because of COVID or something, right? So they're out of it. And so I used the TerraShield spray, and I just became a little bit more diligent. I sprayed it on all their bedding. And then I sprayed it on the back of my dogs themselves. You know, I shook it up and sprayed it, just a squirt on the back of them. And I started using it every day. And within days, all the fleas were gone. And this is flea season. It is hot and the fleas are definitely out, but I'm not seeing them anymore. They're not in their bedding and the dogs aren't itching anymore. So it looks like it worked in the interim. So that's great because maybe I won't have to use that medicine because it's kind of expensive too. And I'm not wild about giving them anything synthetic, right? So we're gonna talk about dogs, we're gonna talk about cats, and then we're gonna talk about horses too. So we have 3 things we're gonna talk about specifically today. And I'll probably talk a little bit about my chickens and what I do for them as well. So when we have ideas for using the oils, so just like humans, you know, animals can benefit from the doTERRA essential oils as well. But there's some safety rules to follow, just like us, right? Don't apply oils in your pet's eyes, nose, on their genitals. Never apply them to the tips of long-eared dogs, as the oil can get into their eyes if they shake their head, right? Because that happens, right? And if skin irritation ever occurs, add fractionated coconut oil or milk, not water. Water does not work. Or any, actually you can use any, you know, carrier oil, any, you can use olive oil from the kitchen or safflower oil, whatever, if you find that there's any irritation. So if they get little bumps or they get red in a spot, that is a slight irritation. It's not an allergy, but it is an irritation. It's too strong for them, and you need to dilute it more with your carrier oil. So fractionated coconut oil should be used when diluting because it doesn't clog the pores. And that's more important with pets, especially even than us. You know, with us, we can use some different oils. With dogs, you want to be careful. So our first option is fractionated coconut oil. Now, not all oils are safe, even for dogs, right? So some oils that are fine for us as humans can cause harm to your dog. So these are ones we just definitely want to avoid with dogs. And there's some mixed information on this, so I'll give you the ones that are for sure. So we know that wintergreen can really irritate the gut. Do not use them on your pets, with the exception of the very small amount of wintergreen that is in the deep blue rub, which we do use with our pets, okay? always very diluted. Tea tree oil you have to be careful with, and if you use tea tree oil for specific conditions, which we will, and we'll talk about these, but if it's used too often or in too high a dosage, it can cause lethargy, vomiting, fever. So you really want to watch your pet when you're using them, and you definitely want to use less. Primarily when I use tea tree oil, it's in like a blend. I make this one blend that I put on my dogs. It's got, I think it's just got 2 drops of melaleuca tea tree oil, so very little. And then it's got frankincense and lavender. And I use this on my pets when they come in with scabs or cuts from outside. I want to make sure it doesn't get infected, and I want to make sure it gets healed, because sometimes those things can get really nasty. So we want to be careful what we use on them, in a very small amount of tea tree oil. Do not use tea tree oil on cats unless your doctor vet tells you it's okay. So there's very limited conditions where you would actually use tea tree on a cat. Other oils never to use unless it is diluted a lot for post-oral surgery care, because we do use cloves sometimes with post-oral surgery. But primarily you want to avoid things like birch, thyme. You should only need clove if you're using it for like an on guard for a cold, which would be heavily diluted. Or again, if they've got an oral surgery, then clove is highly recommended, but it's just, again, it's very short term and it's super diluted. Oregano, you have to be careful with, unless you're supporting a dog that's dealing with parvo. You've heard of parvo probably. Your dogs may also have adverse reaction to other oils. So be on lookout for odd behavior after applying. Some of the things that are obvious is if they start having lethargy, vomiting, obviously fever, you want to look for shaking, anything that looks like a behavioral difference. And that's why we like to start with less and work our way up. See how your dog reacts to a small, a very diluted dosage. And then if you do need more for the condition, you can use more, just take it in increments. Dogs do better with oils than cats do. Cats, we have to be even more careful, and we have to be careful with very small dogs and recognize that they're small. So we use less, right? Because they weigh a lot less than humans do. So when we are doing dilution, we dilute for puppies and small dogs the same as we dilute for infants when we put oils on infants. So puppies under 3 months or 10 pounds should have 1 drop of oil to 1 entire tablespoon of fractionated coconut oil. That is a very, very weak solution. You can tell, right? Because you're only going to be applying a very small amount of time, which means you're applying a lot of times 1/100th of a drop, right, of the essential oil. If your dog is naturally seizure prone, then contact somebody, a professional, before moving forward with essential oils. And I do have a contact name for you of somebody who's very good with essential oils, as well as Janet, is it Janet Rourke online? She's really good with answering questions. She's a vet that works with essential oils. We have quite a few vets in doTERRA as well that will be able to help you using the oils. And you can reach out to a natural vet, like we have a homeopathic vet here that knows a little bit about essential oils too. Cats are really sensitive to oils. So the immune system for kitties are particularly sensitive. So remember, if you intend to help whiskers with essential oils, you need to know how to use them correctly. Known oils to avoid include all citrus oils, tea tree, thyme, clove, oregano, wintergreen, vetiver, peppermint, rosemary, white fir, cypress, and Roman chamomile. These are ones that you do not want to have on your cat. So if you're using them on you, make sure that when you use them, you give that you don't use them directly on your hands and then immediately pet your cat. They absorb very quickly, so you will be able to pet your cat shortly, but keep in mind when you're using them on yourselves and it's on your hands, to be careful as you pet your kitty cats, okay? And also watch for blends that might have those oils in them. So you have to read the labels of your blends to make sure that is appropriate for a cat. Cats also have a really keen sense of smell. So you have to keep an exit route when you're diffusing oil. So diffusing is okay to use those oils when we're diffusing. Make sure your cat can get away from them. If they're uncomfortable around them, they'll leave the room. But make sure they have that option. If they don't have an option to leave the room, do not use those oils at all around them. And when you're diffusing around cats, we usually recommend a little bit weaker solution in your diffuser, more like 3 drops instead of the standard 5. And for other uses, when you're using oils on cats, dilute heavily. So those would be the same ratio as human infants, are usually safe also for cats, which is, again, there's different ones for different oils. But if you see a recipe or something like that, take into consideration the cat. And of course, also with smaller cats, you're going to use even less than you would with maybe a little bit larger cat. So keep in mind, they are very small. So we're ready for adventure. So does Fido or Whiskers suffer from seasonal threats? Okay, so this essential oil blend is perfect for 1 to 3 sprays along the spine or chest as needed. So you add the following to a 2-ounce sprayer bottle. So that's a pretty small sprayer bottle. You would take 10 drops of lavender, 10 drops of lemon for dogs only, omit that ingredient for the cats, 5 drops of peppermint, you also omit for cats, and 5 drops of frankincense, and you top that off with distilled water or fractionated coconut oil. So when you use that, you're just going to spray it along the spine or the chest. So for cats, it's only going to be lavender and frankincense, right? So you can just, it's just a 1 little squirt, and you spray it on the fur. You do not need to, a lot of people think you need to put it on their skin. You do not put them on their skin. It will go down the hair shaft and it will get enough into their bodies. So go ahead and just spray it on. You don't saturate. It doesn't need to get through the fur, because a lot of people look and say, gosh, my dog's so furry, I can't believe it's going to get through. It does. So don't worry about that, and make sure you're just giving them 1 little squirt. Okay, so thunderstorms and fireworks shows are 2 of probably the most stressful experiences for dogs and cats, which lead to, you know, those restless nights for us, right? And thankfully, there is an essential oil blend that can be used on its own or in addition to other relaxing methods. So simply just apply a few drops of lavender essential oil to the pads of your pet's feet, and apply a few drops of the restful blend, that would be Serenity, to their stomach. Use fractionated coconut oil if needed. I would always recommend that you use fractionated coconut oil with this blend, just in case they are a little bit more sensitive than most. Most pets don't have a problem with it directly on their skin, but just in case. You can also diffuse a drop of lavender and a drop of Serenity in your diffuser. Just make sure the door is open so, you know, Fido or Whiskers can escape the smell if they desire. So I don't know if anybody's ever used this. I have actually used this, and I've also seen other people use it at a dog show I went to. And it was really neat because they came back and signed up for doTERRA after they tried it, because they came by my booth and she said, yeah, I've got this dog, and when we come to places like this, she gets really spastic, really antsy. And I said, so she's not really like that normally? She said, no, when she's at home, she's fine, but when I take her out, she just, you know, goes crazy, right? And I said, well, why don't we just put a drop of Serenity on her front paw and see how that goes? And so we put the drop of Serenity on her paw. She came back like an hour later and she said, that stuff is magic. I absolutely need some of this, right? So I have seen this work. I've seen it work with my own dogs. 2 of my dogs get really spastic when the fireworks are out. The other one just goes and tries to bark at them. So go figure. Everybody's different. They all have personalities. So keep that in mind for the blend. And if you need any of these recipes afterwards, let me know, and I will post them for you. Eucalyptus essential oil is one of the oils we can use that will help your pet breathe easy. So pets can experience seasonal threats also. They get the same things we do, just not the same versions of them, right? And we can apply eucalyptus on Fido or Whiskers' chest or belly, because these oils will support the immune system. So here's a Breathe Easy essential oil dog spray. So this is the dog version. So nothing pains us, those are the parents of our pets, right, more than seeing them in distress. So if your cat or dog is having trouble breathing and they've already been maybe seen by the vet, they don't have a major issue, because they get viruses too, right? Then try spraying this blend on the animal's bedding or chest once or twice. Add the following to a 2-ounce sprayer bottle. So this is for dogs. You would have 5 drops of lemon, 5 drops eucalyptus, 5 drops of peppermint, 5 drops cardamom, and 5 drops of arborvitae, and then top off with distilled water or fractionated coconut oil. And a lot of times I'll use actually both. The issue is if you put it in, like with this blend, this is in fractionated coconut oil, and this is one I apply to them. It's in a dropper bottle, and I will apply it to scrapes and stuff on the skin. If I make one in a spray bottle, I usually will take the blends of oils, I'll add some fractionated coconut oil, and then I'll top that off with water, but that means you need to shake it before you spray it. But I do like to add some water to it because it gives it more of that viscosity I need to get the spray on the animal. This same blend is good for cats, except of course you're emitting a bunch of them. So you're ending up for cats, 5 drops of eucalyptus, 5 drops of cardamom, and 5 drops of arborvitae when you are using this with cats. Okay, so that recipe is on the screen, and you can screenshot that or take a picture of it if you like that recipe. So we want our pets to be able to relax just like we'd like to relax, right? And sometimes your pets can suffer mild memory problems associated with aging. It happens to them too. So applying frankincense to the back of their neck, along with rubbing something like doTERRA's grounding blend, so that would be balance, on their paw pads, will help them feel at peace. So remember, again, if there's any point during this class where you want to purchase oil for your pets, just come reach me out to me, and I will let you know how you can get them wholesale, and I'm happy to answer any questions about using these oils. So let's talk now about, again, more relaxing, right? Help them serve. So did you know that just a few drops of lavender essential oil rubbed onto your pooch's collar or harness can actually help relax not only the pup, but everyone they come in contact with? So this is great for service animals. And keeping that in mind, I mean, sometimes you can have an effect on the environment around you by using the oils on you. So think about it. If you, let's say you're in a situation where you're in a family or your significant other is prone to anger, then you can use an essential oil that you put on you so that they're smelling that and it's causing a change in them and can temper that anger response, right? So be aware of that. When you're using oils, you are affecting people around you positively. They may not know it, they may not even smell it, but you are affecting them. So also we have a pet protector blend here. So if you have a cat or dog that spends a lot of time outdoors, this is me. I have dogs and they spend forever outdoors and they roll around in the dirt and they come home sometimes with the weirdest cuts and scrapes on them and stuff, and things happen out there. So we can help protect them with an all natural essential oil mixture that should be sprayed all over your pets before they go outside. So some of the things you can do, this is a nice big sprayer bottle, it's 16 ounce, right? Good size sprayer bottle. You want to put 5 drops of lavender, 5 drops of cedar wood, 5 drops of geranium, 5 drops arborvitae, and 5 drops of eucalyptus. You can add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and a drop of dish soap. Now, when you use that, I would caution you. I know a lot of people like to use these scented and really chemical laden dish soaps. When you're putting dish soap on your pet, and I know they made a big deal when that one, I forgot which dish soap it was, Dawn, that they used with the birds. That was a one-time use for a very serious issue to get the tar, whatever, off of them, the petroleum off of them, right? That we don't want to wash our pets in that stuff normally. It's not healthy. So hopefully you can find a natural dish soap that you can use for these recipes, because you do want to put just 1 drop of dish soap, but you do want it to be a nice natural dish soap, and there's plenty of them out there. And then, for me, I use, for my dish soap, just so you know, I use doTERRA's laundry detergent. It saves me a lot of money. I know it's really natural because doTERRA doesn't have a dish soap. So that's what I use. I also have on occasion gotten that, is it Castile? Is that what I'm thinking? I think I'm thinking of the right thing, that Castile dish soap that you can get that's all natural. I use that sometimes too. I use that a lot more when I'm making stuff. You can top that off with distilled water or fractionated coconut oil. And other oil substitution may include something like TerraShield, Purify, and Peppermint. Just making sure you read those labels if you're using them on cats. So this recipe was good for dogs and cats, but if you're using one of the blends, make sure you're looking at it. And again, peppermint should not really be used on cats. So, because they do a lot of licking and a lot of moving around, and they'll get it in their eyes and stuff. So we don't want to do that. And I know that I keep saying distilled water. If your water is relatively clean, that's fine. It's just that what happens is if you use low quality water like tap water and you mix it with essential oils, the life expectancy of that blend goes down the more contaminants that are in the water. So that's why they usually say distilled water. But I know a lot of us don't have distilled water, but you might have something like, not distilled, but purified or filtered water, right? And you could use that. So here's another one. I don't know if everybody else deals with it. We all deal with this from time to time. Sometimes it's fleas, sometimes it's not. Sometimes dogs itch just because they itch and we don't know why they're itching. So boy, if you think they're distracting, think about how annoyed they must be. It drives me crazy when I see my dog just sitting there itching and itching. I'm like, oh, poor dog, I don't know what to do, So help them ease up on that scratching by making this spray. And I've used this myself when I have weird itching that's caused by little bugs or whatever, right? And it works really well. It is 5 drops of lavender, 5 drops Roman chamomile, which we don't put in for cats, 5 drops cardamom, and 5 drops of arbor vitae. Top that off with the distilled water or the fractionated coconut oil, and you can spray this as needed directly to that irritated area, or if they've got a rash or reddish area, or for some dogs, they'll have a reaction to like flea bites, and their skin will discolor and turn a little bit brown, and you can tell it's irritated. So you can spray it on those irritated areas, but be careful again of their eyes, their nose, their genitals, right? Okay, and then we want a smooth, happy dog. So this is something I've noticed a lot. We have 2 poodle mixes that are rescues, and they are starting to get these weird bumps all over their body. And my daughter's a vet tech, and so she's looked at them. She's told me what they are. They're just benign. They're not going to hurt them, but they're annoying because they're bumps on them, right? And like when we have to cut their fur because they're poodle mixes. And when we cut the fur, we have, there's a danger of scraping those, cutting them off. They definitely are unsightly. They don't look pretty or anything like that. So if your pet is showing signs of lumps and bumpy skin, first you want to go to the vet maybe to check, to see if there's something else going on. A lot of times they'll just tell you it's benign, there's not an issue, it's just a function of their aging. And so you can use an essential oil spray, which you can apply directly to the lumpy area. And I have actually been doing this. I just started doing this, so I'll let you know how that works. Right now, it looks like one of the lumps, one of the smaller ones, is actually going away. It looks like it's scabbing off and going away. And then the larger ones, we'll see how they go, and I'll let you know. But you want to add the following to a 2-ounce sprayer bottle. So this is a very strong blend, right? This is 10 drops of frankincense, 5 drops of sandalwood, 5 drops arbor vitae, 5 drops wild orange, omit that for cats, and then top off with your distilled water or the fractionated coconut oil. And you can just spray that right onto those bumps. That's easier. I actually had it in one of these, and it was really a pain because they try to get the drop on there, and of course the dog's like, they try to get away and stuff like that. So you also want to, when you're using oils with dogs, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, and cats a little bit later, when you are using oils with your dogs, approaching them the proper way is very important. You want them to get used to the oils, but at first they're going to be kind of like, what is that? Just like we were the first time you smelled oil, it's like, whoa, that's strong or whatever, right? And you back away, because that's that normal tendency. They're going to do the same thing. So make sure you introduce oils at a time when they're relaxed and comfortable. That's when you want to introduce them. You don't want to introduce them when they're already in distress. So we have a cool down here, which is really good. You can use frankincense, the myrrh, helichrysum, cypress, marjoram, peppermint, and I'm not going to read these are 5 drops of each of those. And you can add a tablespoon of that organic aloe vera juice, which you should be able to get at any health food store. They come all natural and it's something that we can consume, right? And top that off with distilled water. That is a great cool down after strenuous activity. So if you have a dog that goes swimming or they go hiking, dogs and even cats can benefit from those soothed muscles. And so massage this blend that you see on screen here into achy areas. So I really love this blend, so you might want to take a note of that. And then, does Fido get a little car sick? Dilute 2 drops of peppermint essential oil with fractionated coconut oil and apply to their stomach. So this approach also works for humans who can apply it to their chest. It is not recommended for cats, of course. But we know that it works for us, and it also works for our dogs. But unfortunately, peppermint's not one we're going to use with our cats. If your dog needs additional respiratory support, we have the doTERRA respiratory blend that would be your Breathe or Easy Air in Canada. Lime, eucalyptus. If applying it directly to your pooch's paws, you can apply with the grounding blend. That's our balance blend. And that would be applied 4 to 6 times as needed. And this is for dogs specifically. Now, there's something about dog kisses that just warms the heart. Unless they smell like the toilet bowl, right? So this is an essential oil spray that isn't a substitute for behavioral changes, but it can certainly help with their breath. So add the following to a 2-ounce sprayer bottle. That is your 10 drops of protective blend, that's our On Guard, 10 drops of myrrh, 10 drops of peppermint, omit that for cats, of course, and then top off with distilled water or fractionated coconut oil, and just lift their lips and spray the mixture on either side of their mouth once or twice a day. Now, the added benefit of this is that On Guard is also great for mouth bacteria. So that will work really well at helping to remove bacteria from their mouth, much like a mouthwash if you're getting it around the edges of their mouth. It's interesting because I'm doing something like this right now, and I'm actually doing it because my dog has something growing right by its lip on the side, his lip right there. And it's something that must itch him because he keeps, you know, doing this kind of thing. And so I keep having to put something on it because I can't stand to see him there itching all the time. That looks terribly uncomfortable, so I keep putting it on there. And I'll let you know if that goes away. It looks like it's getting smaller, so I'll let you know how that goes too. Now, a few drops of vetiver rubbed onto Fido's collar can help turn an unsure pooch into a confident, happy-go-lucky pup like this beautiful dog we see on screen right now. That was vetiver. Remember, this is for dogs. Vetiver is not used on cats. Flea-free with doTERRA. So like I talked about earlier, we want to keep those fleas out of their environment. The best way is to make sure that you spray regularly their bedding and stuff with TerraShield, because that's where they're spending their time, and that's where fleas are going to breed, as well as the fleas that are on their body. Now, if they go outside, they may pick up fleas again, so you may have to be spraying these on them as well, because they're going to pick up fleas from outside and they're going to bring them to their bedding, and then hopefully they'll leave because the bedding smells like TerraShield and they don't like it. But some of the things we can do is we can give them a natural flea bath the second we see those fleas that are pestering them, right? And so we have a recipe for that. We have 2 drops of lemongrass, 2 drops of eucalyptus to a pet-friendly shampoo. So interestingly, I use doTERRA shampoo on my dogs, and I'm having great results. I've been using it for over a year on my dogs. I used to buy other shampoos, and actually those other shampoos for dogs, specialty shampoos, especially these natural ones, are really expensive. So I went ahead and used the doTERRA shampoo, and I just add some of the things I know that are really healthy for dogs. I actually added TerraShield to the shampoo that I used last time. And they've done really well with that shampoo for over a year. So I'm really pleased with the way it works for them. It's a very mild one. That would be for dogs only. I wouldn't use it on cats because it does have some ingredients, I believe, that are not really good for cats. If you can wash a cat. And make sure you shampoo their neck first, and that keeps the fleas from running to Fido's head. So remember, when you're washing a dog, if you stick them in a bucket of water, the first thing that happens, the fleas go, oh wait, I'm drowning, and they go running up. So you want to make sure that you are getting their neck immediately and you're working your way down from there to get the fleas to go down. If you've ever done like a bath, like I've done a bath in a bathtub with a dog and that had fleas all over, and you look at the bottom of the bathtub when you're done and you're like, oh my gosh, there's like 50 fleas here, right? It's a nightmare. So you can tell that would definitely be terribly uncomfortable for your dog. So I think that's a great recipe. I think doTERRA shampoo is wonderful for the pets. I don't use the conditioner on my pets. I don't know if it is something I should be using on them or not. That'd be a good question to ask doTERRA if the conditioner is good for dogs. But you know, I don't think they need that. I think that just having a good shampoo that kills the fleas is what we really need. So that's what I use. So pets who enjoy the outdoors will also benefit from an essential oil blend for cuts that should be applied directly to the wound. And so this is where I've already played with some of this, and I didn't have all these ingredients when I made this, because I made this in an emergency. The first time I used this blend that I made, which is only frankincense, lavender, and tea tree, it was 11 o'clock at night, and I just come back from a trip, and my dog had a giant grapefruit-sized pussy area on his back, and I figured I'd have to take him to the vet in the morning. But I decided to go one last effort, and I made this, put it on his back, and in the morning it stopped pussing. It was gone. The infection area of it was gone. So I was really pleased. I think I saved a lot of money doing that. And so there's a blend that they specifically recommend that I'll try next time. I'll add some things to this. So what they recommend is 10 drops of frankincense, 10 drops of myrrh, 20 drops of lavender, and a tablespoon of colloidal silver. So colloidal silver is not something doTERRA sells. It's something you're going to have to get separately. I see it at all the health food stores, and we have some. So they do recommend that. And you can top it off with organic aloe vera juice, which will make it a much more comfortable, possibly than even the fractionated coconut oil. So that's a good idea. I got to get some of that aloe vera juice. Last time I tried to get it, it was gone. I think everybody's making hand sanitizer with it. So I was unable to get any, but I need to go look for that. Now let's talk a little bit about horses. So horses can benefit from essential oils also. In fact, horses have been choosing their own plant oils in the wild far longer than humans, us, have been applying them to these domesticated animals. Now, when introducing a horse to a concentrated oil, you pay attention to which nostril they use to sniff the bottle first. Their left nostril is connected to the part of the brain that deals with emotions, whereas the right nostril is connected to physical senses. Isn't that interesting? I actually didn't know that before I did this research. Wounds can cause infections and even get in the joints. So when we are taking care of pets, we want to be able to make salves and things for those pets. So these are some, I watched Justin Harrison did a thing this morning talking about horses with a specialist who works with horses and essential oils every day of her life and has her own kit. So I'm going to go through and talk about some of the things they discussed this morning. So again, they are more sensitive to oils than humans are. And fractionated coconut oil is a really good oil for them. Water can be a carrier if it's shaken before use because it will separate. And they can be applied, again, like the dogs, topically to the skin. It will travel up the hair shaft. It can be used aromatically. It can be used for topical use. And even US Equestrian has said that all of the oils are fine for topical use. And then specialists who know what they're doing will also use them occasionally for internal use with horses. So we talk about the wound care, and here's some of the things that they recommend. So of course, you can flush the wound first with lavender and tea tree oil. Remember, horses are what, 1,000 pounds? These are very big animals, but we don't need a lot of oils with them. So you don't need to think that, gosh, just because they're heavy, they need so much more oils. They don't. We use the same amount of oils that we use on an average human with horses because they have a very keen sense of smell as well. And they react very well with these oils. So you can flush it with lavender and tea tree. That will help with the healing process of the physical part of the wound that you're seeing, cleans it out. The lavender will help with itching, and the tea tree will help with healing as well. If you need help closing the wound, so if you notice that a wound is not closing up, so you're cleaning it, it's not infected, but it's not closing, then you can add helichrysum. That actually speeds up the coagulating effect of the blood and helps wounds to heal and close. So if you see a healed, it's not healing that well, then you can use helichrysum to help it heal. We like to put things in a salve base, and they recommend shea butter with solid coconut oil, which you get like at Costco, right? In the tubs, you get the solid coconut oil, or beeswax. And the reason you want it in a salve is you want it to stay on their skin better and longer. So you can create your own salves for your horses this way. We can also use oils for mood and behavior with horses. So let me talk about something. Yeah, so sorry, I got a little distracted here. I want to make sure in the right place here. So with mood and behavior, we use the same oils we do, right? We can use peace to help calming. We can use balance so they can get balance in their, in everything, their hormones in their body. And then serenity to help calm, just like we did with dogs and just like we do with us. Again, we want to introduce oils, just like with any pet, you want to introduce oils for the first time in a calm setting. You don't want to be, you never used essential oils with your pet and all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's time to use essential oils because this happened, and now you're introducing essential oils, but they're already in kind of like flight or flight because they've just been bitten by something or something, right? We don't want that. So what you do is you rub your oils into your hand, let them breathe it in. They may turn away from it. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. It's just, it's strong. So in dogs especially, I've noticed when I take out my oils, my dogs run. They do not want me to put oils on them, but I know it really helps them, and it's helped with so many different things. So that's not a good indicator, but you want to, with horses, rub it onto your hands, let them breathe it in. Most horses take really well to oils. You can rub it on the sides of the muzzle and cheeks and onto their ears. You can put it in a spray bottle with water and spray the horse before the workout. And that'll help them get a better workout, especially if you're using, if you're using specific oils, and we'll talk about these. Routine is important. It's just like little kids. If any of you have had children, if you don't introduce a food when they're young, a lot of times they're not going to take to that food until they get much, much older. It can be a very long time. In fact, I'm one of those people. I could not stand the taste of mustard till I was 40, and guacamole also until I was 40. I couldn't stand it. I would not eat it. And then I finally learned to eat it, and now I really enjoy it. But it's the same thing with animals too. If you haven't introduced it and it's not a part of their routine, at first they may not take to it. So for behavior purpose, it's important that the horse likes the oil if you're using him for a behavior change, right? Because just like you and I, we're not going to put an oil in our diffuser if we don't like the smell, because we don't want it to smell bad. So we're not going to use it. And so horses are going to be the same way. If they're too strong, step back, just get them a mild part of the smell there to get them used to the oils, because they may not have been exposed to them before, especially these domesticated horses. They may not have smelled these in the wild like they normally would. When you are taking care of athletic horses, You know, they a lot of times are athletes, they're doing a lot of really hard work, and we want to clean and sanitize their equipment. We want to make sure that we assess their condition, check their skin, make sure that their muscles are doing well, their joints are doing well. Research solutions in the books that we have available to help you research what oils you can use for specific issues. Trust your instincts when there's an emergency. Get a pre-workout routine, which may include a few oils in your pre-workout, and then a post-workout routine that would include oils that are going to be more calming to the body. And be consistent if you're going to use them regularly to enhance athletic performance. So these oils can obviously be great for pain management. So a lot of times horses, you know, they have their issues, they have their aches and discomfort just like we do. And you can use oils to manage that. We recommend Deep Blue Rub is one that's used actually a lot with horses. It is easier on the liver and the kidneys than medicines, you know, than the drugs that they might be getting, pharmaceuticals, right? We know they have faster recovery from injuries with essential oils. And the woman that spoke this morning actually talked about, because she works with them all the time, one of the people that was there talked about what happened to her. And she had a horse that had an injury that they thought this horse was going to have to be, you know, not moving for 6 months to heal from this. And she used oils, and it had phenomenal responses, and it's actually on file at the hospital where they were working. Essential oils can increase stamina, just like it can with us. I don't know if you realize this, but like I used to play basketball, and if I get too hot and I get overheated, I get slower because, you know, you're hot, and when you get hot, you get tired. And so I would take peppermint oil with me. And if I spray peppermint oil on me, I like rejuvenate. It's wonderful. It's amazing. It's like I just took a quick dip in the pool and just it re-energizes me. So a lot of the oils can do that. They can increase your stamina. And then you're looking for a positive response to application of the oils with your horses. So here is kind of like, if you have horses and you're interested, then these are some of the oils that you would have. This is probably a really good selection of things that you would have if you wanted to have your horse toolkit. This is your medicine cabinet for your horse. These are the oils that you would use the most with horses for various issues. I'm going to talk about a few of them so that you understand how they're used. So you can spray down equipment or bits. You would spray down with tea tree oil. And that is, again, to help really clean them and disinfect them, especially if they're going from horse to horse. You want to make sure that they're totally cleaned. For a pre-workout routine, a lot of people like to use Deep Blue Rub, or you can use like 15 drops of wintergreen of each, 15 drops each of wintergreen, copaiba, the deep blue oil, Siberian fir, and frankincense in fractionated coconut oil. And that would be in like a 4-ounce bottle. And just squirt a little bit on spots for maybe sore shoulders or muscles. Do not put oils under a saddle pad before they ride. The friction and the heat that the saddle pad generates will drive in oils too much. And if you've ever done this, you guys all probably know what I'm talking about. If you've ever used oils and you put them somewhere and then you apply a lot of heat, like in a hot tub, or get friction on the oil, it drives it in, and sometimes it can be downright uncomfortable. So we don't want to do that to horses. So make sure you do not put them in between those areas where they're going to be riding. You can use them to help loosen hamstrings. That takes about 2 weeks if you're doing that recipe right there, especially if you add balance oil. That can help the hamstrings to get noticeably looser with like Deep Blue and Balance, or Deep Blue and the blend that I just told you about with all these different oils. That can also be used for people. We also have the same problem. I mean, how many of us have tight hamstrings, right? So we can use the same thing on us as well, just like with horses. We can increase their stamina with frankincense and peppermint on a really hot day. That would be really comfortable for a horse. We can use Deep Blue Rub, again, rubbing on the fur. You can drop On Guard, like 1 drop of On Guard can be put in their feed or rubbed onto their fur if they are having seasonal issues. Tea tree and lavender, again, for healing the skin. You can use these oils for nerve issues. You could use frankincense and wintergreen for inflammation and discomfort. I'm trying to be compliant here so I don't get in trouble with doTERRA. Digestin is one we use a lot with horses. You can take the cap off and get about 7 drops of oil. The easiest way to do this really is to take 7 drops of the oil and shoot it into the horse's mouth with a syringe. Same thing with a dog. If you try to take oils and you try to like drip them into their mouth, like I've done this with this one. I've tried to take, you know, open your mouth, and I get the dog to open their mouth, and I go like this, I come to their mouth, they close their mouth, and then they're backing away, and they don't know what it is, right? It's freaking them out. So you've got one shot, guys. Open their mouth, just throw it in there, right? And get it down their throat if it's something that they need, like Digestin. And I use Digestin with my dogs quite a bit because they do get stomach issues because they're outside a lot, and who knows what they're eating out there, right? Again, like I told you earlier, helichrysum, great for coagulating that blood, very useful for, again, discomfort, for soothing. And then there's another issue, and I've got to be careful because I don't want to be non-compliant. If you have a lot of abdominal discomfort, there's a word for this, it's a disorder, you can use Digestin, and there's a lot of helpful herbs for that. Make sure if it's a chronic condition that you do contact a vet, because then it might be something else that needs to be treated by a doctor or vet, right? But a lot of times, if it's just temporary, we can take care of this ourselves. And I've noticed this like with my dogs. Sometimes my dogs they'll arch their back, especially when they've been eating bones or something like that. Then I just give them some Digestin. A lot of times they won't take it in their mouth, and if they won't, then I'll just rub it on their stomachs, which a lot of times they're okay with that. At first, when I come near them with the oils, they're like kind of backing off, but as soon as I start rubbing their tummy, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead, rub me. They don't care what I put on them at that point, right? There's some other things that we deal with when we're dealing with horses, and even some of our dogs and some of our kitchens, right? So we have a fly spray. How many of you guys have flies? They seem to love this warm weather. At least they love it inside my house during the warm weather. And so for fly spray, we use things like TerraShield, lemongrass, citronella, and a bit of lemon eucalyptus. Oops, these are for us, right? Without too much dilution. And we would spray TerraShield spray on a cotton ball and rub it around the outside of their ears, their tail. Again, being careful that if they are, you know, if it is an animal like a dog with long ears, that you don't rub it down here on the tips of the ears, because when they go like this, they're going to get it in their eyes. So keep it up higher where it won't get into their eyes. But you can just spray it on a cotton ball and then rub it around these areas, and they seem to like that. I'm going to give you an email that because we are doTERRA people, we sometimes get these wonderful emails for people. So we do have a specialist that was talking this morning, and she gave us her email address, and I'm going to share that with you. So we don't want to share this with too many people, but people who are really interested and are horse essential oil users. So this is for your horse people. The address is heather.p as in Peter at WT as in Tom, SS as in Sam.com. And that's for you horse users. If you have some very specific question, you can reach out to her by email and see if she can answer that for you. And a lot of equestrians are, constantly searching for the be-all and end-of fly spray for their mounts. And thankfully, TerraShield can be diffused barn-wide. It can be diluted with coconut oil. 1 tablespoon of coconut oil for every 3 drops applied to the exterior of their ears, around their poll, along their spine when turned out, at the base of the tail, along the neck, chest, belly, and legs. So this also works to protect the riders, right? Us. Now, stressed pets are, I should show you that. Okay, stressed pets are unhappy pets. So this spray I have here is like a go-to for overwhelmed pets. And they should be applied to your pet's bedding or back 15 minutes before a high stress activity. So, I try to plan for this because we know when things are coming up. 4th of July, New Year's, those fireworks are going off. My dogs get freaked out. They still do, right? So you want to plan for that and be ready for that. You don't want to try to apply these after they've already gone into fight or flight because they're terrified, right? So what we want to do is 20 drops of lavender, 10 drops of cedarwood, 5 drops vetiver, 5 drops of frankincense, and you can top that off with distilled water or fractionated coconut oil, or even a blend. I like using a blend. So every time I say that, these are the recipes I get, but for some reason I like it just a little bit of coconut oil to help it adhere to the skin because the water could dissipate very quickly. So I always like a little bit of coconut oil in there. And ticks are attracted to dogs, especially in certain seasons and areas. And if your pet has a tick, you can help the tick release on its own by applying an undiluted drop of doTERRA's cleansing blend directly on the tick. So once removed, your vet may want to identify the tick and check for tick-carried diseases. That's an option. For mosquito or other bug bites, a diluted drop of cleansing blend will create a wagging tail. So get that cleansing blend out and use that on your pets. Now, pets who are bathed regularly or swim often are really prone to occasional ear discomfort. So if you just suspect your dog or cat has any ear discomfort, you want to blend a drop of lavender, a drop of Roman chamomile, omit for cats, just for dogs, right? With a teaspoon of fractionated coconut oil. Dip a cotton swab into the mix and apply that blend to the inner and outer flap of the ear, not directly into the ear shaft. So you get the inner and outer flap of the ear, do not get it down into the shaft of the ear. And remember, for those dogs with the long ears, get it up towards where the ear is connected to the head so it doesn't flip into their eyes. Now, another big favorite is a, where'd that go? There it goes. Okay, so pet shampoo. So it's easy and fun to make. So all you have to do is combine about 1 1/4 cups of your distilled water or clean water, right? A tablespoon of Castile soap. So that's that Castile soap I mentioned earlier that we like to use because it's a very simple soap product. That's why we like it. I picked up mine on, I'm pretty sure I got it at Amazon, and I think I've seen it somewhere. Where else did I see it? I think I saw it on Aroma Tools as well. And then 2 drops each of peppermint, eucalyptus, lavender, rosemary, and cedarwood essential oils. Put that in a glass bottle and shake it. Voila, your pup is now ready for a chemical-free bath. Very simple, really inexpensive. That's what I really like about this, because I don't know about you guys, how many of you guys have gone out and tried to buy a nice natural pet shampoo and have been either confused about what it said on the label, like what is this really in there, or looked at the price and said, oh my gosh, really? Because that stuff is really expensive. So we can make our own, and it's certainly a lot more fun. Now, hairballs, grass, and bones are all really hard on a pet's digestive system. So we give our dogs bones, especially from raw foods. So raw meat, and we'll give them the raw bones because it is really good for a lot of dogs. A lot of dogs really enjoy them, and our dogs definitely do. So what we want to do is we give them a little natural boost with a spray that's formulated to support digestion, because when they eat a lot of bones, they can, you'll see it's different. They do have some issues with it sometimes, kind of clogs their system. So if that happens, you want to add the following to a 4-ounce spray bottle. That is that 10 drops of ginger, 10 drops of peppermint, 5 drops coriander, 5 drops fennel, 5 drops of myrrh, which you see on the screen here. And then you can top that off with the fractionated coconut oil, or of course you can use the distilled water with that as well if you'd rather. So that it would be a really good blend for when those kinds of things happen. So hairballs, grass, bones, right? Those are the things that sometimes we're dealing with. Now, dogs do love to smile, and pet owners love a clean smile. And unfortunately, nowadays, you see a lot of pets with some really nasty teeth. It's hard to keep their teeth clean, right? They won't brush their teeth at night, even though I tell them to. So we, as owners, have to be more diligent and look at ways that we can help clean their teeth. So what we use is we use a cup of the coconut oil, 10 drops of protective blend, that would be the On Guard, 3 drops of peppermint, 2 drops of frankincense, a tablespoon baking soda. And you can apply a small amount to your pet's toothbrush, your finger, basically, and brush their teeth. I've got a little silicone thing that I stick in there and try to brush their teeth with that. They don't like it. Unfortunately, it's something that I wish they'd gotten used to when they were younger. Some of you guys might be pet owners and you find that you have no problem cleaning your dog's teeth because you were smart enough to get them used to it when they were young. My dogs were all rescues, so they were never letting me put my finger in their mouth, and they fight me and they sit there and go like, just no, you're not getting your finger in your mouth. So it's really hard. Sometimes you get the outside of the teeth, but that's about it, right? So those are some recipes there. Now, we know that pets also get mosquito bites. Of course they do. Mosquitoes are out there. So if we want to keep those pesky bugs at bay with a repellent spray, so we're just going to keep them away, right? We just have to mix 20 drops of TerraShield in 2 ounces of water and spray it on. What I did was when my bottle of TerraShield spray that I bought from doTERRA got empty, I took the TerraShield oil itself, and I took about a 1/4 of a bottle and put it in here, and then put the rest water. That way I have my spray bottle. I can keep reusing this because that's cheaper for me to make. It's a lot cheaper to make it yourself, guys. And then you can make it whatever strength you want. I found that about 25% seemed to be what it was, and that's what I'm working with, and that's what I use. So that's a good way to reuse those bottles and get that, you know, to get that wonderful spray bottle, and I already got the label on it. I know what it is, right? Okay, and then a drop of ginger and a drop of lemon into a dog, so this is dogs only, water bowl, will help kill internal worms while supporting their skin. So if you are struggling with that, or you don't know if you're struggling with it, sometimes we don't know. And dogs, you know, are prone to getting worms and stuff like that. So when we want to get rid of those internal things, we can just use ginger and lemon. So you can, if it's a problem that you don't think you have, but you're not sure, you could just use it every once in a while. Just do that for a few days in a row, and hopefully it will kill any internal worms they might have at that time. And of course, if you ever see any worms, get right on it, right? You don't want them to have worms, those are bad. So you asking now what? Okay, so how do I know what to use? You know, how do I get started? So I want you to know that you're never alone on your essential oils journey. So, you know, when you sign up with doTERRA, you have a leader, and that leader should be, and like for me, I'm there to personally guide everybody every step of the way with answers to questions, resources, introductions to other people who are also on the journey with us, specialists, right? And in addition, I have a really great, you know, email series I send to all my new oil users that lays that foundation of knowledge and awareness for incorporating the essential oils into their lives. And so if you're an active pet owner, make sure you're getting the Lifelong Vitality Pack and possibly the Mito 2 Max for the energy that you need to deal with the pets, right? Those are wonderful products, and I take those every day. I cannot talk enough about how wonderful it is, and I have to be careful what to say so I'm compliant, but I had a severe issue where I was tired all the time. My body ached all over, and I was basically bedridden for years. And even with the oils, which were, you know, helpful for some of the symptomatic relief, I was not getting, it wasn't going away. Now I have so much energy and everything, and it was from that Lifelong Vitality Pack. It changed my world. The Mito 2 Max gave me the extra oomph I need because I am a busy, busy person. So if you want to become a wellness advocate like me, and you want to do this as a business like me, let me know. If you want to just get oils wholesale and you are interested in signing up, let me know. If you just simply want to learn because you're just in the learning mode and you don't want to join anything yet, and you don't want to get them wholesale because you're still kind of figuring out if you're going to use them, let me know and have me send you resources so that you can keep learning, because it's really fun to use essential oils. It's really healthy to use them, as well as the other products doTERRA has. And I love supporting people who want to live a totally non-toxic lifestyle for them and their whole family, their pets, themselves, their children, right? So reach out to me after this if you have any questions. And if you need any of these recipes, let me know. There were quite a few different recipes in here. I'm gonna try to put them together and get them on my Facebook page. If you don't have access to my Facebook page, let me know, and I'll make sure you get access to the Facebook page. So I can be reached on my email. You should have it, because if you came to this class, you probably got something from me, either a text or an email. But my email is Ginny, my name, Ginny, at healthybodyheadtotoe.com. It's all spelled out. Ginny at healthybodyheadtotoe.com. I specialize in US and Canada. Those are my two specialties. I have members in other countries, but those are the two countries I'm extremely familiar with. I have traveled back and forth. I used to live in Ottawa, Canada. I now live in San Diego, California. So reach out to me if you need anything at all, okay? So now I want to find out, do you guys have any questions? I got a couple of you left. I know Faith had to leave early. She had somewhere to go, and that's fine. And I'll post this later for everybody else who couldn't make it, because I had a bunch of people say they couldn't. But I want to answer your questions now. Diana.
Okay, yeah, Jenny, on diffusing oils, okay to diffuse any oils with dogs, kitties, or as long as not too many drops?
Yeah, so the going kind of thought is you don't want it too strong. Same thing with infants. We don't want oils that are too strong around infants and pets, because pets have a very keen sense of smell. And so normally what we use is 3 drops instead of 5 drops. So standardly when we run a diffuser, like I have diffusers here, I'll run 5 drops. But if you have pets, especially in a smaller or more enclosed space, you want to have only 3 drops, and they always have to have the option to leave. Do not close an animal in with a diffuser, especially with any of the stronger oils in it.
Okay. Okay.
But they are safe to use. So even with cats, there's been some kind of talk about, can I use citrus oils around my cats? And I have a lot of members on my team that use citrus oils regularly, because a lot of us are diffusing those for because we want to feel happier, right? Cheerful.
Yeah.
So we use a lot of the citrus oils. And the key is they need to be able to get away from them. You don't want to put them right next to
Okay.
them. You want to make sure, and you don't want them somewhere where they can knock them over and get them on them. Same thing we do with infants. We don't want them right next to the crib. We don't want them to be able to spill onto a baby, right? So we take the same precautions with cats.
Okay.
And with dogs,
Okay.
dogs
No. Okay. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Man, we got a huge 2-story house, so cat and dog can go wherever they want to. So okay.
Yeah, as long as they can get away and you're not diffusing oils like in every room, right? Give them a place where they can take a break from that if they need to.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I don't know who Galaxy S9 is. Did you have any questions? Possibly not. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to go ahead and post these, if you need the recipes, let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and post this video so you can also catch it on the replay if you need to see it on my YouTube channel. Hopefully you have access to that. Reach out to me if you need anything. If you're already in doTERRA and you need resources, reach out to the person who signed you up for doTERRA so you get resources from them. If you're not in doTERRA and you're just kind of like thinking about it, reach out to me. Also, there's another thing we get as advocates with doTERRA. So when you're with doTERRA, you also get something called the Living magazine subscription. I'm not sure who that goes to. I know all of us as builders get them, and I think some of the accounts get them, like the active accounts. And it's a magazine doTERRA puts out every 3 months, and the magazines do have excellent articles on using essential oils with pets. So there's a lot of past magazines that have some wonderful education. And then another place you get more education with essential oils and pets specifically is a Facebook page called Pause for Essentials. It's PAWS, the number 4, Essentials. And they have some great information. They also have a very huge customer base of vets and professionals and people that can answer your questions. So you can always ask questions there. If you run into something strange and you just don't know what to do, then certainly reach out to somebody in that group because they can help you solve those difficult problems. Okay. Oh, and I did want to, before I let you go, let me tell you one of the other things I use these for. I use them for my chickens. So with chickens, we have to be very careful. They're very tiny inside. You don't realize how small they are under those feathers, but they get tiny little bodies. But some of the things we use regularly, we can use, you can use clove oil heavily diluted to help with the feather pulling that sometimes happens. Sometimes chickens will pull their own feathers and sometimes they'll be picked on by other chickens. And so we use clove oil for that. And we can use oregano oil. I use a drop in their water. So they got a big water thing that they can drink out of. And I put just 1 drop of oregano and I stir it in there. So they get that. That helps with the respiratory issues that our chickens are prone to. And also we can use essential oils like eucalyptus if they have insect problems. A lot of times that'll happen in their coops where they sleep at night if it gets too much moisture. Sometimes insects get in there. When you use that, we make sure the chickens are not there when we use it. We spray it, and then when they come back, it's done its job and it's really dissipated by then. But you can use it for those kinds of things as well. So keep that in mind. You can use it with other animals. We're still studying oils with other animals because like my daughter has pet spiders and pet snakes. We're not sure what we can do with oils with those kinds of, with reptiles and things like that. But hopefully that will be on the horizon and people will be learning what we can do, right? Okay, so hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you so much for coming, you guys. And if you, like I said, if you need anything, reach out to me. Okay, so I'm Ginny. So good to meet you too. And everybody else that was here earlier. And I will be posting, whenever we have our next event, I just kind of pick and choose different events that I feel like talking about. And I email everybody and let them know when those events are. I know I think I've got one coming up September something. And then don't forget also doTERRA convention is virtual. It's online this year, obviously. And you can attend that. I believe it's $25 to attend the virtual convention, but there is tons of information. And this year, because it is virtual and because they're gonna have so many people there that are just users of doTERRA, not necessarily business builders like myself, they are gonna have a focus on the customer end and introducing new oils and everything. So it's a fun event. It's 3 days long and you can attend it live virtually. And so if you want to do that, make sure to let me know and I'll make sure that you get the link to sign up for convention if you're interested in that. Okay. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.